Good evening, I'm Claudia Czerwińska and you're watching Ukraine Brief on TVP World. Today is the 1,325th day of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russia launched another series of deadly overnight attacks on Ukraine, killing at least 6 civilians, including a child in Zaporizhzhia, and wounding at least 45 others. Drones and missiles also damaged Kyiv's power grid, plunging thousands of residents into darkness. The Ukrainian Air Force said Russia launched 465 attack drones, along with 32 cruise and ballistic missiles, as well as Kinzhal hypersonic missiles and glide bombs in the overnight assault. Ukrainian air defenses reportedly intercepted 405 drones and 15 missiles. Moscow was targeting everything that sustains normal life, everything the Russians want to deprive us of, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said. 8 out of 12 people wounded in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, have been hospitalized as the Russian attack on the central city early Friday triggered a fire in a high-rise apartment building and targeted energy facilities, cutting power and water supplies to parts of the capital. Authorities also reported disruptions to public transportation, including the metro, due to the outages. Russian forces have increasingly targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure in recent weeks as winter approaches. A large-scale missile and drone barrage last week also struck several of the country's key gas production sites, causing significant damage. Tonight's attack pummeled Ukrainian energy facilities, cutting power to 9 regions and plunging parts of the capital Kyiv into darkness. Power restrictions have also been introduced in the Poltava, Sumy, Donetsk, Chernihiv, Cherkasy, Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk and Kharkiv regions.
We had no power and water when I left my house. I can't get to work because the subway is not running and the buses are overflowing.
We didn't sleep at all tonight. From 2:30 there was so much noise. By 3:30 we had no power, no gas, no water, nothing.
The energy company DTEK said equipment at one of its thermal power plants was damaged and an employee wounded in Russian attacks overnight Thursday. This is the third strike on our facilities in 1 week, the company said. A 7-year-old boy wounded in the overnight Russian attack on Zaporizhzhia has died in hospital. His injuries were too severe. 7 other people were wounded, including the child's parents. Russia launched 8 Shahed drones, 5 missiles, and 5 glide bombs at the city.
This was the family of a prisoner of war. He returned home from captivity in March. He had been there for almost 3 years. He was one of the Azovstal defenders. They surrendered at Azovstal and spent almost 3 years in captivity.
They took the boy and tried to resuscitate him in the ambulance. They said he still had a pulse and that they were taking him to intensive care. Later on, they called to say that the boy had passed away.
Explosions were reported in the city of Dnipro and across the region as Russian forces attacked several communities using artillery and FPV drones. 5 people were wounded in the Dnipropetrovsk region, according to the regional governor. In the Donetsk region, Russian attacks killed 3 civilians, 2 in Kostiantynivka and 1 in Sloviansk, and wounded 11 others, according to regional governor Vadim Filashkin. In Kostiantynivka, 2 people were killed and 4 wounded by FPV drones, and in Sloviansk, 3 glide bombs struck residential areas, killing 1 person and wounding 6. In other Russian attacks across the country, 1 person was killed and 6 wounded in the Kherson region. 3 civilians were wounded in the Sumy region, and 10 people, including a 10-year-old boy, were wounded in the Cherkasy region. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski traveled to Ukraine on Friday to meet his Ukrainian counterpart Andrii Sybiha and receive an honorary degree from Lviv University.
These attacks are a very serious event. It's the latest in a series of escalations. We know why they're doing it, to instill terror in the people ahead of the upcoming winter. Attacking civilian targets is a war crime. Putin is already facing charges for kidnapping and Russifying Ukrainian children. You'd think that would be enough for him. And yet we have another wave of attacks. That's something that demands a response, ramping up sanctions on Russia and increasing aid to Ukraine.
Generators, extra power supplies, expedite construction of power interconnectors between Ukraine and Poland, and of course our LNG terminal in Świnoujście is at your disposal, Sikorski also added during a press conference with his Ukrainian counterpart. Ukraine and the UK plan to start joint production of interceptor drones to combat swarms of Shahed-type UAVs launched daily by Russia, which are causing severe damage to Ukraine's civilian and energy infrastructure. According to a September 10th press release from the British Ministry of Defence, the UK will join develop and produce advanced military equipment with Ukraine under a new technology-sharing deal, boosting British jobs and strengthening both countries' security. The project, called Octopus, is currently being negotiated and could be implemented in the coming months, British Minister of State for Defence Readiness and Industry Luke Pollard said, referring to a Bloomberg report. Ukrainian Army Chief Oleksandr Syrsky said last week that Russia launched nearly 6,900 drones at Ukraine in September, more than half of them Shaheds, and that interceptors destroyed most of them. And we end with U.S. First Lady Melania Trump, who says she's been in contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin to help return Ukrainian children from Russia. Quote, this remains an ongoing effort, she told reporters on Friday, noting that Putin responded to her letter earlier this year and that they have stayed in touch, mentioning several back-channel meetings and calls in recent months. And so that's all from Ukraine for now. Thank you so much for joining me for Ukraine Brief here on TVP World. I'm Claudia Czerwińska, and I hope to see you back here in just a moment for more news and features.